Hello. Welcome back to the Storage Scavenger, CTX Scavenger. This is James, formerly known as the Storage Scavenger. It's been so long. Hope you're doing well. If anybody is coming in, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and let YouTube know that we are here and that people want to see the show. So, we're going to be talking today a little bit about what's going on with us. We're going to give you an update. And I'm not going to stay on super long, but I'm going to chat for a little bit about what we've been up to, what's going on with us and the family. But first, I wanted to talk about, WhatNot versus YouTube for our auctions. Something that we're kind of working on testing a lot of right now. We're testing doing some of both. And I want to know what other people think. So that's why I thought I'd go live. If you're catching this on the replay, leave me a comment and let me know what you think about WhatNot versus YouTube. Let me know which one you think is better for the show. So tomorrow we are doing a WhatNot auction. There's a link in the description to the show and a link to sign up for WhatNot if you have not already. And so what we're doing is we've been selling on WhatNot a few times. We've been selling on YouTube for a couple of years. And we found that there's some advantages and disadvantages to both. So I thought I'd talk about some of those pros and cons a little bit today. And then we're just going to kind of chat and talk about, what's going on with the family, where we've been, what we're going on. See some people showing up. So say hello if you could see us in the chat. I don't have the YouTube app open, so I can't see anybody in the chat. I can just see it when it pops up on my StreamYard. So, one of the big advantages that we have to WhatNot is it streamlines a lot of the work for me. It streamlines a lot of work for payment processing. One of the advantages being that, one of the struggles we had here on YouTube is like my last couple of auctions that I've done here. Over half the people that bought through me never contacted me. I had most of their information. There was a few I didn't even have their information. So we are putting together a form before we do any more YouTube auctions for people to fill out to give us that information up front to be eligible to bid. But on WhatNot, when you bid, when the bidding ends on that auction, it processes your payment right then and there. And if you don't have the money to pay for it, or if the payment doesn't go through, now there's advantages to that. Advantages to that for us because it makes sure that the payments get processed and everything goes through, and we can put it back up for auction immediately if the payment fails and they're not able to pay. The opposite side of that is we do like to work with people. And with WhatNot, we can't do that. It's they pay then or they don't get the item. Here on YouTube, we can put an item up, and as long as somebody connects with me and communicates with me, we can work out payment arrangements, and we can, work on making sure that they can get it paid, and we can hold the items for a little while. One of we've had ups and downs with doing that though with people because I've had people that have promised to pay later, and then they didn't complete their payment or something else happened, and we wound up having to cancel the whole order and wind up putting it back up for sale. Whereas, you know, I'm still willing to do that. If we do our YouTube auctions, we'll be doing some YouTube auctions again. And so when we do those auctions, we will be, working with people on payments and stuff and delaying payments and shipping and stuff like that. Like some people like it when we just hold all their stuff and ship it once, like at the end of the month. And we could do that when we're doing YouTube auctions. We can't really do that with WhatNot. It actually hurts us as a seller to hold on to a shipment for people to buy from multiple auctions there. So we have to package everything up and ship it out the next day or within the next couple of days. Usually I try when I do an auction to get everything packaged and shipped the next day. And so far I've been able to do that with WhatNot. My YouTube auctions, I'm not able to do that as well because sometimes we're delayed in getting payments or we're waiting on somebody to pay an invoice. So I don't ship until I get that invoice paid. So when we do YouTube auctions, I have to invoice everybody and then wait for them to pay. When we do whatnot, they pay right then and there or it doesn't go through. So that's, it's an advantage and a disadvantage because it's an advantage in that we're sure that the stuff that's selling gets sold. It's a disadvantage that it doesn't give us the opportunity to work with people on payments like we do here on YouTube. So there's some pluses and minuses just to that one thing. Shipping. I prefer the shipping system here on YouTube because I can use pirate ship, which is often cheaper. Um, One of the problems I've had with whatnot shipping is they want to charge me extra for shipping sometimes because they do their shipping totally based on weight. Well, I have some lightweight stuff that's really bulky and some small stuff that's really heavy. You can't really just ship based on weight. You've got to have dimensional shipping. And when we do our shipping here, the shipping is charged after the fact versus on whatnot they charge at the time of purchase what the shipping's going to be, and it can get really kind of wonky whenever we've got multiple orders from the same person and it doesn't fit in exactly the size box they say it should because some things are bigger than others. So that's a downside to whatnot. I much prefer the shipping side. I much prefer doing it what we do here on YouTube because I can use pirate ship. Generally, pirate ship is the cheaper alternative. I do look, especially if I have big bulky items, I'll look at FedEx and UPS as well because often sometimes they might be cheaper than shipping pirate ship. But it gives me that leeway to research and find the best shipping option after the fact. Depends on how far it's going and how much it weighs and the dimensions. There's a lot of factors involved in shipping. And unfortunately, on whatnot, their system just takes into account weight. They don't look at dimensions. Like I have one of the things that's going up, and I actually overestimated the shipping weight intentionally to trigger the system. For whatnot, says we have this globe that's going up on the auction we're doing tomorrow. And I know the weight of it says it should be in like a 6x6 box, but the size of the globe is more than 6x6. It's not going to fit in a 6x6 box. So, you know, that's a frustrating part of whatnot. I had to overestimate the shipping because I know the dimensions are going to be bigger than what they're claiming it should be for the weight. Um, because it's not that heavy. Now tomorrow's auction, a big part of tomorrow's auction is jewelry. And I actually kind of enjoy this ability to quickly lift, quickly put it up there and run through this jewelry because I don't like messing with jewelry. I'm not a big jewelry person. Usually I'll lot up all my jewelry and just sell it off in bulk because I don't want to mess with it. But we're gonna piece out some jewelry tomorrow. Um, and then we might try doing some of this on a YouTube auction as well. As a buyer, I've had some. I like the buying system on whatnot because again, it automatically processes my payment, and I don't really have to worry about anything. I just bid on the items, and then everything else kind of gets taken care of for me. I don't have to put so much effort. Like when I'm buying stuff on YouTube auctions, I have to message the seller and get them all my information. And a lot of the sellers that I buy from, I already know, so they already have all my shipping information, but I still have, and they have my PayPal information. But then I have to wait for them to invoice me, which sometimes takes a day or two for some sellers to get the invoices out. I try to at least get all my invoices out the next day when I'm doing an auction, but some people take a couple of days. But then also, like, one of the downsides to that is, and this is where some of the downsides to working with people on shipping and stuff is too, is I've struggled with Emily. Those of y'all that have followed us for a while know that I have a disabled daughter. She has cerebral palsy. She's in and out of the hospital a lot. And we never know when that's going to happen. That's part of why I do auctions instead of listing on other sites and doing long-term listings where I'm just listing stuff as buy it nows. I don't do a whole lot of list buy it now listings anymore because that's what got me banned on eBay. Because they saw it as fraudulent activity because I was having so many refunds because I spent like 6 months in the hospital with Emily at one point and it caused a lot of problems. So with whatnot, I can sell it, ship it the next day, get it out of here. And even if I'm, having struggles with Emily, I can get that stuff shipped and gone, and then I don't have to worry about it. Now, one of the things that I like about YouTube auctions better than whatnot, um, is the community of people. It's a lot easier for me to build that community of people here. Um, I can get up on other people's channels. I can do a lot of stuff here that I can't do really. You can kind of do a collaboration auction with somebody else on whatnot, and that can help build your community. But I haven't gotten into that door. Part of it's because I haven't been on there as consistently as a bunch of other sellers. But um, for YouTube, it's a lot easier for me to do random auctions when I can because even if I don't do auctions here, I can go to It's About to Get Real and get on with Kim, or I can and Amber, or I can get on with Robin, or one of the many other sellers. I can call it Victoria, and there's a great community of people here that I can stay in touch with and that I can pop in and say, "Hey, I know I've been gone for a few months again, but I'd like to do an auction again." Um, and I can do that, and I don't even have to do auctions right here on my own channel. I can do them on other people's channels. I can't really do that on Whatnot. I can't really just randomly show up whenever I can. And with Emily and our chaotic schedule and my travel schedule and all of the things that I'm doing in my life right now, it's hard for me to consistently show up all the time. Um, I'm trying to be better at it. I keep trying to be better at it, but there's just a lot going on in my life. A lot of why I've been gone again is because of Emily. I haven't had any nursing for her in about 6 months. One of her nurses went out on an injured reserve. The other one's having some family issues. And so she's been taking a lot of time off, and so we haven't had a nurse. And then Emily had surgery back in March. And since her surgery, since she was in the hospital, well, we were in Dallas for a week, and then we were in the hospital for about a week and a half after surgery. We were supposed to be there for another 2 weeks, and they let us go home early because she was doing very well. But all total, we were still there for like 3 weeks. So and we were planning on being there another 2 weeks or so. But then after we came home, we were expecting to have, at least one of our two nurses here. That's part of why they let us go home early because we were going to come home and have nursing there. So they were more comfortable with us going home early because she had nursing care at home. And then we came home and found out that our nurse wasn't coming straight back to work and that we weren't going to have a nurse for a little while. So I've had to spend almost every day since her surgery taking care of her. Uh, that's been rough. It's been rough on me, it's been rough on Jessica, it's been rough on, Hunter, it's been rough on everybody in the house. It's been rough on Emily a little bit. And then we've done some traveling. We had to go back to Dallas, and they had to make some adjustments to her wheelchair because the surgery that she had, they put a halo around her head and attached it to a device that's attached to her wheelchair to put her in traction. And so the good thing about the traction is it's pulling her spine straight with her scoliosis. The downside is it's pulling her spine straight and she doesn't fit in her wheelchair anymore. And it was a brand new wheelchair. So we had just gotten it. We had to wait until next month when we can get a new back and a new seating arrangement for her wheelchair. So we have to go back again next month, but they had to make some adjustments to the one she has last 2 weeks ago so that she could be comfortable in her chair because it was pulling her so well. The traction's done such a good job already that um she doesn't sit in her chair very well. So we had to drop everything, go back to Dallas. While we were there, we also went towards Abilene and saw some friends and went to some uh s- see some people that I haven't seen in some of them I haven't seen in almost 20 years. Uh, and it was a great, great weekend, but it was also a rough week for Emily because we were traveling a lot and she wasn't in her comfort zone and it was really hot and she was struggling a little bit. So now we're back home. We're kind of getting settled back in. We've been got spent this last week getting settled back in. I've been working on my storage room. For those who have not seen the mess, it's actually a lot better now. You can't see it because I have a wall of stuff right there, but a lot of that wall of stuff is personal stuff that's going in my personal storage. Once I get it cleaned out, which is what I was working on today, but I'm also working on cleaning this room as much as I can. This is why I'm doing some more auctions right now. I'm trying to get rid of pretty much everything in this room. I want to empty this room out and get it a little bit more organized, so that I can come and do more auctions better than what I've done before. That's one of my number one things I'm focusing right now. And I've talked about in some of our previous live streams, I've talked about me having ADHD, which is part of why I'm inconsistent too, because I have ADHD. And sometimes I get away, and I don't mean to be gone for a long time, but I get away. I get busy with other stuff, and I just forget about my reselling business for a little while, because I have so much other stuff going on in my life, and I forget about it. But starting in November of last year, I got into counseling. I got into therapy for my ADHD, and I'm on medication. Finally, just a lot back in finally in February, late February, early March, they got me started on medication for my ADHD. Um, so they're helping me with the therapy to deal with some of the trauma associated with my ADHD, but also helping me to develop some of the skills that I don't have, like organization and getting myself organized, and some of the discipline issues that ADHD people struggle with, and helping me to get myself back on track so that I can show up better for people, so I can serve people better through my content, through my videos. And that's one of the things that's been a big struggle for me. So that's something that's getting better. I'm medicated. They're still adjusting my meds a little bit. I'm fixing to start. They just readjusted my meds. I'm fixing to start the new ones tomorrow to see if it works a little bit better. But it has been a huge help. I mean, I've gotten a lot of work done on this room. It's hard to tell, but I have. You can't really see because the other side of the room, on the other side of this kind of wall of stuff, is almost empty because I've been getting rid of a lot of stuff. Most of what's over on the other side is empty boxes of stuff that I'm saving for shipping. Um, but other than that, I'm doing a lot better. And it's giving me more focus. It's getting me working on all of this stuff again. And for those of that have followed for a while, y'all know I have my other channel. It's called Finding the Balance, where I talk about mindset, spirituality, emotions, physical well being, and finding the balance and harmony in your life, which is a journey I've been on for about the last 20 years in my own life. And it's something I've struggled a lot with. And so I share some of the struggles. I share some of the lessons I've learned through that channel. It's called Finding the Balance right here on YouTube. Um, and that's I haven't been posting on there as consistently either, but I'm writing a book, sharing some of my journey, sharing some of my experiences and lessons learned in life, and I'm sharing ideas from that book on the channel right now. So I'm doing some live streams once a week, every Friday on that live stream, and then I'm also doing some videos that are coming out, sharing how I find that balance and harmony in my life and balancing family, trying to work, my spiritual life, um, taking care of Emily, just how I juggle all that stuff. And sometimes a lot of days I'm trying to juggle all those things and I drop all the balls. Some days I juggle some of them pretty well. Some days I don't. Um, but it's an everyday thing, and it's just every day's a new day, and we keep trying to do better. It's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to show up better for people. Uh, So I see a few people are watching us. Nobody said anything in the chat. So if you're watching in, say hello in the chat so I know you're here, so I can greet you well. And one of the things that we've been working on, uh, one of the big things that I love about Whatnot is the ability to set up a show. It's so much streamlines the actual show process a lot more. Cause like for Whatnot, I can just go in and set up all of my auction lots in the system. So I can just when it's time to run the show, we run the show. Whereas here I have to, write it all out on paper and keep track of where I'm at. Uh and they automate a lot of that for me in the process. That makes it a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to, keep myself moving because you got the really short auctions over there. I mean, the auctions over there are lasting like, 30 seconds to a minute. And versus here, I might spend, 4 or 5 minutes on just one item. So I'm able to run through a lot more stuff a lot faster, more streamlined. And that I like Whatnot's platform for that part a lot better than doing them here on YouTube. It's a lot less work on the front end and on the back end for me. But during the show is more streamlined. Hello, Teresa. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Um, so one of the things that we've been doing is I do Whatnot auctions, and we are doing a Whatnot auction tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm trying to find a good time of day for me. I'm probably going to be adjusting those times, but 4:30 is kind of where we're going to start. I got jewelry, we got housewares, we got all kinds of stuff. I got about 120 lots of stuff that we're going to be showing. And that's one of the things because of the speed of the auctions. I can go through 120 lots on Whatnot in a couple of hours. If I were to try to do 120 lots on YouTube, it'd take me like 5 or 6 hours to do that big of an auction. Versus Whatnot, I can do 120 lots in 2 or 3 hours. So I like that because it's more streamlined, so it runs through the lots faster. I can show them, put them up for auction, and they sell or they don't sell. And the other thing is, like, I found it much easier here on YouTube to build my community, to build, and a lot of it's like a lot of the people you don't do Whatnot. Well, that's part of why I wanted to chat, and that's why I wanted to do this live instead of just a recorded video. I'd like to know other people's opinions and have some conversations about it. Um, I've been doing Whatnot now. I've only done 3 or 4 options on Whatnot, and I haven't done one in about 6 months. Just because of I was just talking about everything I've been doing with my daughter. Um, I don't know, Teresa, if you've been around for a while. I have a daughter with cerebral palsy. So I was just explaining, kind of what she's been going through for the last few months. And I've been taking care of her a lot. So I haven't been reselling a whole lot. But um that's why I work from home. I am her primary caretaker. So I have to be home to be available for her. Whatnot streamlines a lot of stuff for me as a seller. Um, and I like YouTube and Whatnot both. I think they both have advantages and they both have disadvantages, and I use both. I also believe in don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I continue to do stuff on multiple platforms because YouTube could come in tomorrow and say, y'all aren't allowed to do auctions here anymore. We're going to ban you if you continue doing them. Whatnot can ban people. Pat Dees, who everybody in the community knows, I think he's one of the people that everybody knows. He recently got banned on Whatnot. He was able to get it reversed and get back on Whatnot. In fact, he was doing an auction on Whatnot when I came in and started the live. I was just in his auction on Whatnot when it was time to start the live. So he was able to recover his account, but I've talked to a lot of people who weren't. And that's not fair. That's what happened with me and eBay. I got banned on eBay And I tried every which way, and it was basically like, yeah, too bad. An AI generated flag on my account, uh, that was an automated flag, banned my account, and it was nothing that I really did wrong. It was just an error in the messaging. Um, and I could not recover my account. That was like 2.5 years ago. And so I was like, and one of the things that I found was that was kind of where I was already trying to transition away from doing long-term listings. Even on eBay, I was doing more auction style listings anyway. Um, and where I could control when it started, when it ended, and I didn't have to worry about if I have to leave for 2 or 3 days or a week or 2 weeks, is stuff gonna sell and I'm not home to ship it. Because, like I said, in 2021, it really made this clear to me that I need a business that I don't have to be at home present all the time for. Because my daughter went in the hospital in September of 2021. And at first we thought, it's just going to be a few days. But then another thing happened, another thing happened, and another thing happened. We spent 6 months in the hospital. I had stuff selling on eBay and I was refunding all these orders because I couldn't get home to ship stuff. And it was just day after day after day, just it went for 6 months and it was nothing I could control. I couldn't keep my shop in in perpetual vacation mode. Um, and again, I was talking about my ADHD. It would come off of vacation. It would only set the vacation mode for a certain number of days, and then it comes off automatically. And I would forget to go in and turn it back on. And then people would start buying stuff, and I couldn't get home to ship it because I was over an hour and a half away at the hospital with my daughter. And it was just a mess. And I wound up eventually it wound up getting my account screwed up with eBay, and then they wound up banning me for life because they thought it looked like fraudulent activity because I was selling stuff and refunding it, selling stuff and then a few weeks later refunding it constantly. So that's what happened on eBay. I've seen similar things happen with people on WhatNot. That's one of the advantages. One of the big advantages to YouTube over WhatNot is we don't have so many rules of what we can and can't sell. Like all these selling platforms, because YouTube's not specifically an auction platform, they don't have a rules about what you can and can't sell on eBay or on YouTube. As long as it's legal stuff, we can sell just about whatever we got. Versus and with me doing storage units, I don't know what I'm gonna have. A lot of times I'm doing live unboxings where I'm unboxing stuff and I'm seeing it at the same time y'all are seeing it. So, and I love doing those style of auctions. Those are fun to me, but it's also really scary a little bit because if I'm on a platform like Whatnot and I'm doing a live unboxing, am I gonna pull out something that I'm not supposed to have or not supposed to sell? And their list is so long and stuff, I can't keep it all in my head. I have to have a list there and look through the list and say, print out the list and look through the list of, okay, is that something I can sell or is that something I can't sell? Because there's some stuff that you can't sell that wouldn't doesn't make any sense. Um, but but it's their rules, and I have to follow their rules if I don't want to get banned on their platform. Same way with eBay, same way with Macari, same way with all of the listing sites, all of the reselling sites where I could go to resell. I have to know their rules. I have to know what I can and can't list, and they all have different rules. And keeping all that straight in my confused brain sometimes is a jumbled mess, and I forget things. So I'm always scared I'm going to sell something I shouldn't. But here on YouTube, I can pretty much sell almost anything as long as that's legal to own in the United States. I can sell it and ship it in the US. Um, and that's a bit an advantage to YouTube because there's a lot of things I can sell on YouTube I can't sell anywhere else. Um, and like you know, my even my own family gets mad at me because I don't list on eBay or don't list on other sites. But I honestly don't care about getting top dollar for stuff. If I buy a storage unit for $200, if I can make at least 400 selling that stuff, I'm happy. And if I buy a unit for 200 bucks, I probably got 4 or 500 items to sell. That means I can sell them for a dollar a piece and easily, and that's just the stuff I can sell. Every storage unit that I've had, I've honestly sold about 20 to 30% of the stuff out of the unit. And I've made a profit on every one. I've only had one unit that I broke even. I got my money back, but I didn't really make any money. I've had one unit that I've done that on. Um, but every other storage unit that I bought, I've at least doubled, if not tripled or quadrupled what I spent on the unit. And I've only sold about 20 to 30% of the stuff we find. So if I'm selling stuff for a dollar or $2 on WhatNot, I don't care. I just want to move it out and go do another unit. Because to me, going through the unit and finding all the cool stuff is the fun part. That's the part that I love and that I enjoy. Selling this stuff is something I have to do because I got to make some money to pay my bills, pay my family, pay for the units, do all the things that we have to do to survive. Because this is a business. We have to do a business in order to survive because it takes a lot of work to do these storage units. I started doing storage units when I was working a full-time job, and it was a pain because working 12 to 16-hour days, then coming home, sorting through stuff out of a unit that we had bought. Some of it was that was when we started YouTube too. We had started YouTube right out of storage units, right about the time we started doing the storage units. We'd done 2 or 3 units when I started the YouTube channel. But I started having to film and record and edit and publish videos on the stuff that we were finding. Um, and it would take me 2 or 3 weeks to get through just one unit. And when I went to doing this full time, I'm able to do a unit in just a few days. And then I can turn around and start looking for another unit. I usually will do 1 unit a week, maybe less when I'm doing it full time. And when I'm doing it part time, like I am right now, I might do 1 or 2 units a month. Um, just because right now my focus is on Emily, but I'm doing what I can to try to keep things going, trying to get some more stuff going, trying to keep money flowing a little bit. But we have to finagle things with working. Like I've had periods where I just did, like I had one period we bought like 5 units at one auction, and so I was able to sell off of that stuff for a few months. But I was also just able to like put stuff out there, put stuff up on Facebook Marketplace, put stuff, and we had a ton of stuff from buying those 5 units. But it was hard too because then I had to sort all 5 of those units and go through all that stuff. And some of that was a pain. I would not buy 5 units at a time unless I have a team of people working for me. If it's just going to be me, because I got my wife and I got my kids, they rarely help me. Every once in a while they come and help, but for the most part, 99% of the work, it's me doing all of it. I do the buying, I do the sorting, I do the listing, I do the selling, I do the shipping, and then I'm out to find another unit. So it's just me. I see a lot of couples that are doing it together. Jessica's busy taking care of Emily when I'm out doing a storage unit, which means I'm doing it by myself. She helps me when and where she can, but she's not able to help a whole lot. So that makes it frustrating. And then she gets frustrated with me because I don't try to because I find stuff that's worth some money, and then I want to sell it for $2 or $3. For me, it's about flipping it quick, going out and getting another unit. Because that's the part that I really enjoy. That's the part that I love. I love digging into a new unit. I love finding the treasures, finding the stuff, and I love finding. They're heartbreaking at times, but I love finding the documentation and the stories I learn about people going through these units. Sometimes they're tragic, sometimes they're not, but just the stories I learn because almost every unit has a personal story in there somewhere. Um, and I don't always share those stories in my videos. Some people share that stuff. I do sometimes, but I also try to respect the privacy of the people who own these units. I try to respect people's, you know, I try to be respectful of the people who own this stuff and lost it. So, but sometimes, it's a good story, and I try to obscure the identity of the people, and I do quite a bit to obscure the identity of the people I'm talking about. Uh, but it's hard. It's hard to balance that respect for the people who own this stuff, but also it makes a good story. And I think sometimes some people can. There's some good lessons that could be taught to people, and I'm always a teacher, and I'm always trying to teach whatever I can too. It's just a part of what I do. But for me, I don't go for the big money units. I don't spend thousands of dollars on a unit. I go for a lot of the cheaper units. Some of it's because of my own finances, but some of it's because I grew up with a hoarder. And my whole life, I've been cleaning up stuff that nobody else wanted or nobody else wanted to mess with. It seems to be like a calling to me, something I've been doing my whole life. So when I started doing storage units, I kind of saw it as this is kind of just an extension of what I've already been doing my whole life. I'm cleaning up the mess that other people have left behind. I'm taking stuff, like a lot of times I'm a woodworker. So if I find a lot of furniture, or I find, a bunch of scrap wood or stuff, I can take that stuff and make stuff out of it. And I haven't really done videos on doing that kind of stuff, but it's something that I do with a lot of the stuff that we find. Because my number one goal is keep as much of it out of the landfill as possible. I give away tons. I give away probably 60 to 70% of the stuff out of every unit, giving away to different charities, different groups, different people. I give a lot of it away. We sell about 20%. And then, we try to we do still have to throw away about 10 to 15% of the stuff. So, you know, but we have trash that we have to go through. But I see it as like, when I started reselling, that's how I started. It was my mom passed away in 2015, my stepmother. She passed away in 2015. And a lot of what I did when I first started, because I started reselling in 2017. I started doing YouTube. I started buying units and doing YouTube in 2018. I started buying units in 2019. I started YouTube. Um, like I said, I bought about 3 or 4 units, but it took me months to sell those first 3 or 4 units. Because of working 16 hours a day at the prison. But we were trying to pay off debt. That's why I started this business. I started because I was paying off debt. I was working in a prison. I hated that job. I wanted out of that place so bad, and then I was able to get free of debt, save up some money, and then in 2019 I left working at the prison. We had a year's worth of we had no debt except for our mortgage, and we have just got rid of all kinds of bills, cut off all kinds of services that we didn't really use, didn't really need, really tightened down our budget, and we saved up a full year's worth of our expenses into an emergency fund and said, if I don't make anything from the reselling, I've got money to pay the bills. And I was able to stretch that out for a long time during COVID because during COVID, things got really kind of squirrely with the storage business. There was a lot of stuff reselling. That's how we got into doing YouTube auctions was during COVID. And it helped grow our channel. Well, we have over 800 subscribers on the channel. A lot of them haven't come back since COVID. But and part of it's because of me taking long period of time away, but a lot of it was because a lot of people came in and subscribed during COVID when we were really busy. There was a large portion of COVID where we were doing videos every day, and I was doing live streams 2 or 3 times a week. Um, and and I was doing a weekly live just like this, just chatting with people, talking to people, and then we would also do a weekly auction. So we were doing at least 2 lives a week. And we did that throughout, off and on throughout COVID. That's how we got started. That's how we built the channel. That's how we got so many people to follow us. And then a lot of that was just going and hanging out with other resellers. I was doing auctions with Junking Data Girl and with Victoria, Adventures with Victoria, and Robin from Real Creative Studios, and It's About to Get Real Kim, and Ooh Ah Crochet Amber. And I was just going on everybody else's channels. They were coming onto my channel. We were all working together and supporting each other and supporting the community. It was fantastic. I loved it and I missed it. But I was working 12 to 16-hour days, and I just couldn't sustain that. With Emily, with Jessica was sick in and out of COVID. Um, Emily had, some struggles here and there, and we had times when we didn't have nursing, and I just couldn't maintain that pace. I burned out. The whole family kinda burned out, and we had to take a break, and we had to get away from everything for about a year. And I took a year in 2021, I took a whole year away from all social media. It wasn't just YouTube, I got off of all social media. I wasn't on Facebook, I wasn't on TikTok, I wasn't on YouTube, I wasn't on anything for almost all of 2021. I was just doing my reselling on eBay. That was the only thing online I was really doing. And then I got banned on eBay. And so I came back to YouTube, started doing YouTube auctions, and then 2023, I found out about WhatNot, and I started doing some auctions on WhatNot, and started learning that platform, and started coming back and forth. Done some stuff on Mercari here and there, but again, I don't like doing long term listings, and unfortunately, Mercari is just buy it now listings. I can't do auction style listings on Mercari. I like Mercari's platform. I just wish I had the option to do auction style. If I had option for auction style on any other platform, I would probably be doing it. But I've looked and there's none of the competition. That's the one thing that eBay has that nobody else has is auction style listings. And part of it's because they're not as popular. And a lot of people don't like them because everything sells for cheap. But I don't care if it sells for cheap. I just want it gone so I can go get another unit. If I sell 400 items at $5 a piece, and I spent $200 on the unit, then, you know, I'm happy with that. And even then, I list 400 items, you know, probably 200 of them will sell for $1, and probably, 150 of them will sell for, $1 to $5, $2 to $5, and then that last little bit, they'll get some bids, and that's where I make my money. Um, Very, very, very small portion of what I sell actually is where I make most of my money. And that's the thing, like, the last few units I've had, I made my money back before I ever listed anything or did an auction because I sold stuff to people I knew. I sold some stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I made my money back before I ever even got a video posted online about the unit. I had like the last unit I bought, it was in San Antonio, and I found some guns in there. And I had those guns sold the day I cleaned out the unit. So before I even got the video edited and stuff, they were already sold. And so and those guns made more than my money back. I had a unit, I think it was 2 units ago that I had that had a couple of guitars, and I have one of the guitars still sitting right behind me, but the other guitar I sold to a family member, and that guitar alone almost made back what I spent on the unit. I think I spent like $100 on the unit, and I sold the guitar for 80. And then I sold a couple of other items to other family members for like 20 or $30. So I got my money back, before I ever listed anything. And then I got my money back on that one with some of it with items saved because that one also had a ceiling fan in there. It was a $200 ceiling fan. It's kind of a little bit fancy. It don't really fit into my house because it's the fanciest thing in my house right now. But I put it up in my house. It was brand new in the box. Put it up in my house. I didn't try to sell it. I just kept it, used it. Um, and that's my biggest thing with storage units is I wanna get as much of it in the hands of people that can use it as possible. I don't care if I give it away, I don't care if I sell it. I got to make some money so I can pay my bills. But, if I could make, four or 500 bucks here and there and pay my bills, and, I've gotten my bills down to a point where I need about 2 grand a month, a little over 2 grand a month in personal income. And all my bills are paid and we have a little bit extra. And then I've got money to put back into the business. I got money to go buy more units. I've got money to you know donate to other people and help other people out, which it's a great comfort to me that I've been able to get my expenses down that low, because I don't I'm kind of honestly, most of what's in my house, most of what you see here is storage unit stuff. I'm actually very much a minimalist in my own personal life. I don't keep stuff. And part of that's growing up with a hoarder. I don't hold on to stuff. I don't like holding on to stuff. I want to move it. So if I'm getting stuff in, I'm trying to move it out as quickly as I can and turn it over, get it out, make some more room, go get some more stuff. But but for me personally, I don't keep a whole lot of stuff. I don't get emotionally attached to stuff. I have stuff that I'm selling, uh, that other people are like, "Oh, you should keep that." I'm like, "Why? I don't need it. Is it gonna take up room in my house? And I don't want it to take up room in my house. I just want it gone." Heck, my wife keeps half the stuff that we have. Heck, half the reason we bought a house instead of just keeping an apartment was because of Emily, because she was going into a wheelchair and we were in a second story apartment. And we were like, well, if we're going to have to, you know, move anyway, we might as well buy something that we can modify and, knock holes in the wall or do whatever we need to do to make it accessible for Emily. Where instead of renting someplace that we can't modify anything and hope that it has wheelchair access and that it's you know set up in a way that it's convenient for Emily, because she was going into a wheelchair. We didn't know what this was going to entail. I just knew I didn't want to lug a wheelchair up 2 flights of steps to get it in and out of the apartment all the time, because that thing's heavy. It weighs twice what she does. So that's why we bought a house, and we wound up buying a house in a small town. We live in Lockhart, Texas. We lived in San Marcos, but we couldn't find a house there that we could afford. So we looked further afield. We found a house in Lockhart. It had a wheelchair ramp into the house, which it doesn't anymore because it fell apart. But but we own the house and we're able to modify it. We're able to do whatever we need to do. Um, it's already set up pretty well. The previous owner was in a wheelchair, so it's pretty well set up for wheelchair accessibility. Um, and the few modifications we've had to make were very minor and didn't take very much. Um, so that was a very fortunate thing for us. And the funny thing is the house was dingy and had a stink to it, which is why they were struggling to sell it and why we picked it up really cheap. That's one of the great advantages we had to buying a house. Because even when we did is when we bought this house was way undersold. It was worth about 120. We got it for 100. And now it's worth about 200 because of inflation. So it's already worth double what we paid for it. But the reason we got it so cheap was because it was dusty and smelly and dank, and the people that uh, the lady that had lived here before had passed away, and the family was just trying to dump the place. They didn't want to put any work into it. I spent about 2 weeks basically cleaning the house, ripped all the carpet out, put in hardwood floors, and the smell went away as soon as I got the carpet out. What had happened was there had been a leak somewhere, and the carpet had gotten wet and moldy. And once I got that carpet out, and we cleaned everything really good. We made sure we got rid of the mold. We got the walls checked to make sure there was no mold in the walls. So we made sure everything was safe for Emily before we came in. And this was before we had Jesse, our toddler. But but we were able to buy a house for really cheap, and it didn't cost me that much to do the work myself. Took all the carpet out, put in some faux laminate flooring from Walmart or from Home Depot. And I did all that work myself. Spent about 2 weeks on it, and then we moved in. And then it was shortly after that was when Jessica's mom passed away. In fact, she passed away about a week after we moved into the house. Um, or now while we were moving into the house, we were just moving into the house when her mom passed away. Um, and then we had to go out of town and go to her funeral and take care of her. But it was it was an experience that put us in a position to where we can do the reselling, to where we can do this full time. Because now I have some storage space. I have a storage shed out in the back. I have this room here all to myself. This is actually the garage. They had enclosed the garage into a room, and that's what I use for my studio and my selling room. Um, and so that's where I'm at. The downside is the AC doesn't work as well in here as it does the rest of the house, but and I hate the wood paneling that they put up, but they just threw up wood paneling when they closed in the room. but but it gave me an opportunity to be able to start reselling. I wouldn't have had the opportunity where we were at. I wouldn't have had the ability and the space to do all the stuff that I do in this room had we not bought a house. But the main reason we bought a house was for Emily and all of her equipment because she's got standing frames and she has a medical bed and she has she has a wheelchair that she has to be in a lot now because the traction that she's on is in the wheelchair. Um, and so we had to have space for that stuff. But it honestly, the easiest, the most peaceful period of my life, I lived in a one-room studio apartment. It was before Emily, it was before Jessica, it was before I was married. Uh, I lived in a one-room studio apartment, and people were always mad because they would come over and I had one chair and I had a little TV stand and I had a kitchen table, which mostly had my laptop on it, and I also would eat there and do other stuff. But that was it. And I had my bed and a dresser. And that was it. I didn't have decorations all over the place. I didn't have a whole lot of stuff in my house, but I could have cleaned my entire apartment from one end to the other in like 2 hours. I could spend like 2 hours once a week and clean my entire apartment because I didn't have anything. I didn't need anything. I was perfectly content with what I had, with the life I was living at that point. Um, The downside was it was in Florida and they kept raising my rent and I was barely making enough money to pay the rent. But that was before I started reselling. Had I started reselling while I was in Florida, I'd probably still be in Florida. But then, then Jessica and I wouldn't be together and we wouldn't have Emily. So so but I don't need stuff. I don't do this for stuff. But I do keep some of the stuff. Sometimes I upgrade. I have a KitchenAid pots and pan set. We got rid of all of our pots and pans except for the KitchenAid set that we found in a storage unit. I got a KitchenAid mixer that I found in storage. I got all kinds of stuff. Most three-quarters of the stuff in my kitchen right now, including even a bunch of our dishes, my silverware, almost all of my silverware, it's all stuff that came out of storage units. So, you know, but I didn't just add on to what I already had. I replaced the cheaper stuff that I had with the stuff from the storage units, and then I donated a lot of the stuff that we had. Some of it we sold at flea markets and stuff. Well, when we first started, we were doing flea markets. Um, I don't do the flea markets. I haven't done a flea market since COVID. Well, when we first started, I was going to flea markets. Then I started doing eBay. And that's a lot less work for me. And it's a lot cooler to sell stuff on eBay and sit in my house in the air conditioning while it sells than sitting out in the heat because we live in Texas and the heat is atrocious out here, especially this time of year. That's the downside of doing storage units right now too. I mean, I think it got up to 98 degrees with about 75% humidity today. Uh, it's rough, but that's what we're doing. Kind of give updates on what's going on with the family. I hope everybody is doing well. If there's anything else we can do, let us know. Make sure you check out tomorrow's auctions. The link is in the description below. We're going to be doing some more sales on Whatnot. We're also going to be setting up some YouTube auctions. I'm going to be setting up a form for people to fill out in case they haven't bought from me before. Um, and even if you have bought from me before, I'm suggesting people do it because sometimes the information changes, and I may not be up to date on the addresses and emails and all that stuff. So I'm going to be putting together a form for our YouTube auctions. I'm going to be doing another YouTube auction probably maybe next weekend. And then I'm going to be doing another auction on Whatnot next Tuesday afternoon. And from there, we're just going to kind of play it by ear and see how the schedule's going, see how the auctions are going, and see when we're going to do auctions going forward. I'm going to try to get back to doing the weekly live streams on Mondays. That was one of the things that we did when we first started, just having a general chat, coming in, chatting with people. Teresa came in, we had a little chat with her. Um, the more people we get coming into the chat and getting some questions in, then I won't be rambling so much because we'll be just answering questions. But if I don't have questions coming in or if I don't have people engaging in the chat, then we're going to just ramble on so that there's not dead air. But I think I'm going to call it a night. We've been on for almost an hour, which is about how long I was trying to do my live streams for anyway. I do like both Whatnot and YouTube. I'm going to be doing some of both. So if you don't do Whatnot, you'll catch me on YouTube. You can also catch me on It's About to Get Reels. I've been in her chat. She and I've already been chatting about me coming in doing a Tuesday takeover. And so we got that in the works. We haven't worked out the exact date yet. But I'm going to try to find some good stuff to bring to that auction too. She's got a great community over there. I've been talking to Victoria about joining her auctions with friends maybe every once in a while. Um, and I've been talking to a lot of the other resellers. That's the other thing is like, even though I haven't been active on YouTube, I've been connected with a lot of the reselling community. A lot of us we talk on the phone and we talk about other stuff too. So I've been able to kind of slide back in a little bit for the last few weeks, and I've been chatting with some people. I've been talking to some people. So we're going to be posting here. We'll be posting on the community tab if we're at other people's channels so that people know where we're at. We're also going to be doing some shorts and doing some previews. We did a short today kind of previewing tomorrow's auction. So check out our shorts if you didn't see it. And it's also on the community tab and showing off some of the stuff that we're going to be bringing to auction tomorrow. So hope you have a fantastic week. We will talk to y'all later. The other side of this is they've been cooking dinner while I'm in here, and so I'm going to go eat. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. Teresa, I agree. This reselling community here on YouTube has been amazing for me and my family. Y'all have been extremely supportive of me, knowing that, the struggles we go through with Emily. The community here has been an amazing group of people. Every time somebody's in a really bind or having a big struggle, the community comes together to support each other. That's part of why I keep coming back to it. I enjoy the community, and I enjoy, doing the storage units. Those are the two reasons why I keep coming back. Um, the reselling is something that is a necessary part of it. But I hope you're having a fantastic day. We'll see you next time, and peace. Where is my end?